Hello, everybody. I'm LaChris Robinson Jordan of the American Aboriginals. How are you? How's your 2025 going? I know it's pretty heady. It's pretty heady. It's starting off pretty intensely as we predicted. Didn't we know? We know this. We know this. But I wanted to stop what I was doing for a little bit and just let you guys know that we have a lot going on right now, a lot of stuff coming down the pipe. We're going to be launching the website really soon, and that's going to have a lot of resources for you guys. There's going to be videos, there's going to be resources, there's going to be a lot of deep dive investigations into history and into lineage and genealogy and all of that stuff. So look forward to that. We're also going to be doing a lot of great interviews, and I cannot wait for you guys to see some of the guests we have. And they're going to be from all over the country, as well as even from all over the world, because we're going to talk a great deal about the Aboriginal, the indigenous, all of that stuff that we don't get an opportunity to talk about every day. So that's going to be pretty exciting. We're also going to be talking a great deal about history, unveiled and hidden history. Again, that's going to be the basis of much discussion, and we're going to keep that energy going. But I wanted to take a bit of a break right now because I wanted to say, you guys, I know there's a lot going on right now, but I want us to really be paying attention to what's happening. We are now in the second presidency of Donald Trump. I know for many of you that's going to be incredibly emotional, and it's going to stir some things. For others, it's going to be pretty exciting, and it's going to really give us something to lean into. But I want to say this just in general, no matter who is in the White House, so to speak, we have to be getting our erudition up. We have to be understanding the law. We have to also be understanding our rights as citizens in this country, because if we don't know these things, we're going to always find ourselves in, quite frankly, a bit of a trick bag, if you will. But I wanted to in particular talk about the executive order that he just signed just yesterday regarding birthright and citizenship. And I think that's going to be really important for us to be leaning into, because at the heart of that particular executive order is the reference of the Dred Scott case, which is the basis for the reason why at least one of the reasons why the executive order has been put in place, or will be put in place, or however things will turn out. It's definitely sparked legal debate, sparked legal issues and case and lawsuits already. So, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of context before we, get too deep into it, because one of the things I want you guys to know is, if you have not had the opportunity, please read the Dred Scott decision. It was an 1857 Supreme Court ruling. It was a 7-2 ruling, basically saying that Dred Scott was not a citizen of the United States. I won't go into a lot of detail about the case here, but I will provide links for you guys to read and to do some research and what have you. But the reason why this case was so interesting and just sparked incredible debate was that we also had slavery, right? We had slavery. And it also changed the trajectory of what the Constitution would look like in the future, which is why we have the 13th and the 14th Amendment. So please study that. Pay attention to that. It's going to be so super heady as we talk more about the Dred Scott case. We talk about what citizenship actually means in this country. But I want to say this too, and as it relates to us as American Indians and Aboriginals, that one of the things about Dred Scott, I will say this: Dred Scott knew who he was, right? He knew who he was. And just because you call me a slave, that doesn't mean that's who I am. For instance, say I'm a Lumbee Indian living in North Carolina, and I'm using my own family as history. Say I'm living in North Carolina and someone kidnaps me and basically says, you're going to be forced to work on my plantation and in my fields. And so you're a slave. But does that make me a slave because that's what you called me? No, I'm still a Lumbee Indian. So what I mean by that is, that's why I really stress for you guys to really dig deep and go and do your genealogy, because you're going to find out who you are. I know they call us African Americans, but are we African or are we Americans? And some of us will say, well, I'm both. Well, here's the trick. and we don't want to be getting caught up into tricks, because sometimes this is what happens to us, is that, yes, from a cultural heritage perspective, you can say, oh, well, I have some African heritage. But even then, you want to still get very specific about that, because what part of Africa are you from? What part of Africa are you from? Your ancestors. Ghana, Nigeria, Somalia. Where? So there's that part. But here's the other part, and I speak so much to our Aboriginal status because that is what we know for a fact. For a fact. And when you start doing your genealogy, you will get really, really specific. You'll know what plantations you were on. You'll know your Indian status. You'll know a lot of things if you just do your genealogy. Because here's the thing. I honor my ancestors because they were here for hundreds of years, thousands even. So I'm going to honor where they were born. I'm going to honor where they worked, where they lived, where they birthed children. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to honor the land that they were on. And the land that they were on is here in North America. So that's why I do a bit of resistance about the African American, because we're really American. And once you start doing your genealogy and you get those documents and those records, you can really start having true conversations about your own heritage instead of someone else telling you that you are African and taking you out of your true status, right? And when you really study the Dred Scott case, and Dred Scott in particular, he knew who he was. He was a Virginia Indian. Yeah, that part. So, again, I will do a longer presentation on this and what this executive order means and how we can start looking at it from a perspective as American Indians, American Aboriginals, to really start talking about this, having some deep discussions around this, because we need to have it. So, yes. And I know that people will push back on me on this, but that's fine. But if you're going to push back on me, I need you to do your genealogy first, and then you and I will have a discussion. Okay? I'll talk to you guys soon. You have an amazing day.